Of course I cleaned up after all of that. You were certainly in no position to do so. It had nothing to do with feeling guilty. Do not put words in my mouth. Gods, it's been barely a week since then. How are you already sassing me like this? I protest this treatment most vehemently. Fine. I'll stop talking and watch the movie if you stop talking and watch the movie. Do you need anything before we resume? More popcorn, a drink. I know you said you were cold earlier. Do you need more blankets? I think you might be the first person to ever accuse me of being a mother hen. I've only been trying to ensure your quick and expeditious healing. It is the least I can do for you while you're incapacitated. Instead of giving me lip, start the movie, all right? What kind of movie are you forcing upon me? Did I just see that man have a shootout mid-coitus without interrupting his performance? Just because this man stars in your favorite movie of all times does not mean every movie he has ever been in is pure gold, as you say. This movie is terrible, and I disapprove entirely. He was also in what? Vampire's Kiss. And I am sure it is every bit as lovely as this amazing film. Oh, it's one of his personal favorite performances. Well, I am happy for him. I am sure it's great. But I will be restraining myself from buying it. I have no interest in seeing another terrible movie for at least another decade. This film has exceeded my bad movie tolerance. You and I both deserve to watch better movies than this drivel. What mythical being are you accusing me of being now? A djinn? Or perhaps a minotaur? Or perhaps you'd like to revisit the Yeti idea? Oh, if not me, then who? The man who attacked you. I'm surprised you want to talk about him. You went through quite the ordeal. To be honest, I figured as soon as you were well enough to run screaming from the home, you would. Snow or no snow, I thought you would be long gone by now. Accusing him of being a vampire is a little too far, though, don't you think? Vampires aren't real, just as Yetis aren't. No, of course you don't think that. Sometimes I believe nothing is too far for you. And why do you think he is a vampire, pray tell? He did not bite you, and I'm sure the fangs you saw were just adrenaline-based hallucinations. I assure you, he just scratched at your neck. I have changed your bandages several times, and I checked for teeth marks. There were none. If there were, I would have taken you to a doctor. Bites are nasty things. No, he did not have claws. Come now. Don't be silly. And you're back to accusing me. Of course you are. Calling me a vampire is maybe your most creative insult yet. It is, however, outlandish. I don't know what could have given you that idea, but it is best to put it out of your head. Concentrate on healing, not on mysteries or secret identities that aren't there. Oh, you haven't seen me eat. That's your big piece of evidence? You're hardly with me 24/7. I simply eat when you are not around. Look, little bug, don't concern yourself with me. You haven't seen me eat because I eat quickly and am on the go. I work a great deal, and so I fill my time with that. I don't labor over long, drawn-out meals because I don't have the time. Of course, I appreciate the effort you put into cooking, but I eat to live, not the other way around. Stop it! All this spying and suspicion is tiring. Just what are you hoping to find, Did you ever consider that maybe I just have odd habits? Is that so outside your realm you won't even consider it? Or do you think everyone on the planet dines a laissez-faire as you do? What would you do if it was true, What exactly would that change? How would that help anything? Would you run away from me? Sure, go ahead. Abandon your job. Go screaming down the mountain and tell all the locals that your boss is a vampire. They will absolutely believe the weird guy in the chateau is a vampire instead of just an eccentric rich old man. And the whole village will come at me with pitchforks and torches. Is that what you want? To watch my home go up in flame with me trapped inside? This isn't the 1500s, darling. People don't do mobs anymore. They tweet angrily. I don't believe you. It's awful big talk to say you wouldn't run from a vampire. According to you, you've already been hurt by one. Not running from me would be foolishness. I could hurt you just as easily as that man did. Easier, even. You have no idea how insane it really is to be this close to me. You want the truth. No, I don't think you do. What you want is some neat little explanation for all of the questions you have. Something nice and easy which doesn't change your worldview. You haven't the faintest idea what you're actually asking for. Life as you know it would change entirely. I don't even know if I want to tell you the truth. You'll never look at me the same way again if I tell you. A monster is all you'll see. Or some kind of freak. No. There are some things better left to the unknown. Things that belong in the shadow, lingering there until some hapless bastard comes across them one day. And that poor person's life will be forever altered, usually for the worst. Do you want that to be you? Do you want to become helpless, an unwilling subject of a truth you could never prepare for? Let's start easy. Do you know why I built this house, originally? The real reason. It wasn't on some wealth-driven whim. It's not a trophy I built so everyone would know what I have, or so they would envy me. I built it because I had this grand vision that it would be filled with people. I would keep court here, fulfill my duties from a grand seat in the Rockies. People would travel from all over to see me, and together we would work towards a brighter future for our people. None of us would ever have to be alone, and support for all would be readily available and happily given. I was foolish. I thought that being their leader would mean that people would clamor to be near me, and that I would want them to be close at hand. We would all work together, and hand in hand we would build a small empire in the shadows of man. I had dreams of opening private schools and of small, quaint neighborhoods in remote places. Youth has a way of making dreamers of us all, and I was a big dreamer. Even in my first life as a human, I was always reaching for more, longing to get off of the farm and go to school, become a philosopher or some kind of scientist. Instead, I had somehow become a vampire, been elected their leader and then left alone to organize what is perhaps the single most unorganized population in the world. Thank goodness for the invention of the email. Emails have done more for us in the last few decades than any letter has done for the last 200 years. Don't expect me to clarify, and do not ask questions. I will not repeat any of this ever again, so listen closely. This story is not one I tell often. I don't know exactly how old I was when I was turned. I don't know who turned me, or why. For all I know, they had no intentions of even making me a vampire. I suspect they saw me as an easy meal, a farmhand out too late putting the cattle away. But here I am, 550 some odd years later, and as immortal as ever. Mostly, we vampires keep to ourselves, but 200 years ago we decided to organize a bit. The world was changing. The Industrial Revolution was proving more of a threat than anything we had faced before. Scores of vampire were being hunted down and discovered as urbanization took over and invaded the solace of the night. We voted in a couple of different leaders, all of whom stepped down after only 20 or so years. Every one of them tried to unite us, to implement rules, to give some kind of order. Some wanted to make slaves of men, to keep them like cattle, and others wanted to reveal our kind to humans and fight a grand war for dominance. It was constant turmoil. Even though we were trying to organize. Slowly, I started mentoring others around me, attempting to provide some kind of hope for those new to our life. It was the least I could do, given the general chaos we faced. People noticed, and then one day, I received a notice that I had been elected the new leader. I never even campaigned. I didn't even know there was a vote, but as soon as word got out, people began to come and see me for guidance, to settle grievances. Whether I liked it or not, I made a name for myself as a leader, and so the rest of the vampire world decided to make it official. I have been suffering ever since. That was 160 years ago, and it hasn't gotten much better for us. We have some lines of communication open. People usually at least read the memos I send out, even if they don't listen or respond, which is more than ever happened before. Incidents of human discovery are way down. As you've noticed, people often come to me to seek advice, to ask for aid. I don't know how much help I am, but I try. Your observations are correct. You are the only human I interact with anymore. You're assuming I don't have a good reason to avoid humans. You know little about me. Don't make the mistake of thinking you know more. You know one admittedly large and important thing about me, but I am old. I have a lot of memories I have not shared with you. I used to be with humans all the time. At first to hunt them, but year after year it was harder and harder to hurt them. I need blood to survive, it's true, but I grew to despise it. It became mundane. The taste in my mouth made me nauseous, and the idea of biting into another neck lost all luster. Soon everything was like ash on my tongue. The more I resisted biting humans, the more I grew to know them, see them as something other than a meal. Some of them became my friends, my lovers. And the longer I abstained and the more I grew close to them, the harder it became. I held out for as long as I could, feeding on animals and taking small donations of blood, even once feeding on someone freshly passed. I would not recommend it. One day, it became too much. It had been a very long time since I had fed. Years. And a woman I knew, a woman I had once loved, and whom I had parted ways with so she could start her own family, came to see me. She had grown old and treated me as one of her children, always fussing over me, trying to push women onto me. She was doting and lovely and kind. I would have married her if she hadn't wanted children so badly. I killed her. I didn't mean to. I was waiting outside, looking for a woodland animal that I could catch and feed on, but instead, she crossed my path. She didn't know. She couldn't have known how reckless long it had been since I fed. She trusted me, and I failed her. I know she wouldn't blame me. She was too kind for that, too sweet. She always pitied me, understood my condition for what it was, a curse. The knowledge does nothing for my feeling of guilt, however. I will carry the weight of her life with me forever. I've kept myself from humans since, minimizing my contact. These days, I get small donations from a local blood bank in exchange for a sizable sum of money. And when there are donation shortages, I rely on animals. It is not as filling as feeding from humans, but it is better by far. This home is beautiful, once filled with hope. Now, it serves simply as the walls to keep others from seeing me, to protect them from me, a gilded cage I have chosen to lock myself into. It is not a glamorous life. For all of my age, all of my wealth, I am doomed to stoop low, to hurt others to live, and to do so forever. Always striving to keep my fellows from hurting humans, always trying to help the newly reborn find their way. As you can see, I am not very effective in the end. I am Sisyphus with my rock, and my only reprieve is at night, with you. When my rock has rolled back down the hill, and I await the work of a new day, you are always there, pushing me, challenging me. It has been a long time since I have let a human into my life, but with you specifically, I want to let you in. I long for companionship again, and I have grown fond of you, despite your fiery disposition. And perhaps because of it. I am thankful for your friendship. And I will ask, although I am a vampire, and although I am ill-tempered and sour, please don't leave.